Hello there, and welcome to Lost in Literature. Uh, Today, before I take up tackling essay writing, take two, I would like you to visualize something. Let's pretend that your art teacher has walked into class and wants you to draw a sunrise. That's it, a sunrise. Okay, and you've been drawing it right from the lower classes. Every other art teacher seems to be asking you to draw these little pictures of nature with the sun peeping out from between the hills. So, all right, you pull up your drawing board and you start thinking about sunrises, and you're wondering where you should, set the sunrise. At sea, do you want waves, crashing on the shore and the sun rising in the distant horizon? Or do you want the sun rising above a tree line? What can you draw? And then your answer makes the assignment a little tough. Trust him to do that. So he says, look, I want a story in your picture. You just can't draw a sunrise, just a sun rising and give it to me. The picture has to talk to me. It has to tell me a story. Now you're truly scratching your head. What does he want? Sunrise? Just like that? And on top of that, telling a story? Okay, you're chewing your, uh, you know, um, charcoal pencil. Now, how are you going to work it out? All right, fine. You you sketch some hills in the background. Yeah, these scenes always have hills. And then you just draw a semicircle of a sun emerging from behind the hills. And then, of course, all the rays kind of spiking out of it. Good. And now you're chewing your pencil some more. So, what should you draw next? Maybe a river? Yeah, that's it. Always there are these rivers flowing in hilly areas. So you quickly put in a river flowing along the foot of the hill. But still, you have a lot of, your drawing paper left. Now, how are you going to fill that up? So you put a little house in the um right hand corner with a tiny little garden, a fence. All right, that's good, but it's not telling a story yet. Okay, then let's have some birds flying. So, you etch in those V shaped thingies in the sky, and they are supposed to be birds going across the sky. Still, there doesn't seem to be any depth to the picture, and nothing is happening. Not even the wind is stirring. You put in some, ripples in the water. Okay, you can put one leaping fish. Still, it doesn't tell a story, except that it is a natural scene describing the beauty of nature. There is nothing more than that. There is nothing else happening. Okay, you draw some trees, some shrubs, and some flowering plants, okay, with some red flowers. All right, now you get the feeling, okay, there is nature, really blooming. Now, what more does the answer want? And your answer, meanwhile, is walking around the class smiling to himself because he doesn't see a story coming anywhere in the pictures that you and your classmates are drawing. So once again, he reminds you, I want the story, I want your picture telling me a story. Time to scratch your head once more. And you were really thinking hard now. I cannot go back and start another picture. What am I going to do with this to animate it, to make it come alive? I have to add some action here. That is that is fundamental and absolute requirement and action. And then suddenly you get a brain wave. That's because you heard a dreadful sound coming from outside the window. And that has given you an idea, this huge big sound. And so you draw a plane, a fighter plane on the sky. Could that be Enola Gray, a, a B-26 bomber, perhaps? And below that plane, you draw something black, making its way down. And then you put these little arrows to indicate that it's really flying fast towards Earth. And there you have a story. You're delighted because the plane is Enola Gay. And that black thing dropping out of it is the little boy, the first atomic bomb in the world. And that is going to destroy the countryside. You have a story going. The picture depicts something disastrous that's going to soon happen and show the other side of man's nature, which is destructive. As much as it's constructive, it is destructive. So you have presented a contrast and you have brought in mind those days way back in 1945 when Hiroshima and Nagasaki, for that matter, was completely destroyed. And you find your art sir nodding at you. Yay, you've got a story going. You peep into your neighbor's drawing board. Wow, he's also thinking hard about a story. He has drawn a window. And there is a bit of his bed showing, so it's a bedroom. And that window is overlooking the ground outside. Nothing much is happening. There's just a road going in front of his house. Again, there seems to be no action there. So he's thinking desperately, and suddenly he puts a clock on the left side, on the left corner of his paper. And right out on the street, he shows a bus and he writes school bus there. And that is speeding away. And at that point, he rubs out, he kind of erases the hands that were just, normally held at the sides. He rubs it. And then he has them clutching his head in tension. That's a school bus going away, speeding away. He had woken up late. Now that is another story cropping up. So this is how you have to animate your writing. So when you are dealing with a story, remember that storytelling question? It began to rain heavily. So when you're writing your story, the first thing to keep in mind is really action. Action is the nucleus of a story. Without action, there's nothing happening. So, how does your storyline look? Something like this. You have the setting, and then you have the action, and finally you try to find a solution for the story. Now, the setting consists of some factual description of where, what kind of place something is happening. And the action, of course, depicts a conflict, a problem, some kind of a situation that's cropping up, maybe an event. And all these are happening things. And you have to go along with the flow of that action and then give a solution for it, which would be the end of your story. So, action is a very important part of the story. It takes you from point A to wherever you choose to go in your story. All right? So that's something you really have to keep in mind, because that constitutes the plot and it makes the story very interesting, because more often than not, your reader can relate to that experience. He can live it with you vicariously. That is the beauty of action in a story. Readers can either uh, be with you and remember something similar that had happened to them, or they can imagine such a situation. Whatever it is, you are taking your reader along in this trip of imagination. So I leave you to think about it and pick up a topic, come up with a good piece of writing where there is action, where, where you have used a lot of active sentences and things are moving at quite a pace. Go on, check it out. Believe me, your story will run away with you. It will simply run. Thank you for being here with me, and I hope you do subscribe to Lost in Literature, because there'll be more and more on writing. Bye for now. Catch you later.